Hi, I'm Susan. Unfortunately, my mother couldn't have children. Where did I come from? That's a very interesting story. Before I tell it to you, please subscribe to the Private Diary channel and like this video. That would really help the channel. And you would earn brownie points. My mom's name is Sunny Bunny. She's always loved children, so she completed hours of special training to become a licensed foster mom. That meant she could take in orphans and take care of them until the state found a family for them. I was one of such orphans. At first, Mom thought she would take care of me until the Child Services found adoptive parents for me, but she grew so attached she decided to adopt me. I've done a lot of things I'm not proud of, but giving you away would be the biggest mistake of my life. I got adopted. While I was growing up, Mom sometimes fostered other children and took care of them for a while. Mom, have you brought me more sisters? I've already had 10. Years flew by and I turned 16. Mom and I lived in a small town and took care of orphans from time to time. I always thought Mom was the kindest person in the world. However, one day, I started to question everything I knew about her. It was the beginning of holidays. I thought Mom and I would spend them together. However, those plans were ruined when someone knocked on our door. I opened it and saw a stunning woman. She didn't wait for an invitation and briskly walked in. Hey, who are you? I'm an old school friend of your mom, sweetie. Don't call me that, I'm Susan. I didn't like the vibes of that city lady. When Mom saw her, she dropped her coffee. Betty, long time no see. Is everything all right? Unfortunately, I come bearing bad news. They sat down in the kitchen and started anxiously discussing their past. I didn't trust that Betty and tried to eavesdrop on them and figure out why she had come. Remember Diamond? We've got a problem. What Diamond? I moved closer to hear them better, but Mom caught me red-handed. Dang it. Susan, this is grown-up talk. Go to your room. Oh, whatever. I locked myself in my room and spent the day watching videos on YouTube. Betty stayed the night at her place. The next morning, she went somewhere with my mom. They didn't even say goodbye. Mom left me a note in the kitchen. Susan, my friend and I have some unfinished business in the city. We'll be back soon. Love, Mom. She was acting weird, but I decided to enjoy my freedom and didn't think too hard about it. Things got interesting that night. I was trying to fall asleep when I heard a knock on the door and a baby crying. I came out on the porch and saw a basket with a baby in it. Someone had left it there and run away. They'd also left a note. I know you take good care of children. Please look after Elizabeth. I was frozen with shock, but then I got a grip of myself and brought Elizabeth inside the house. Luckily, we had a lot of children's clothes and toys, and Mom had taught me to look after babies. I fed her from a bottle and put her in a cradle. First thing I did the next morning was call Mom. I wanted to tell her about the toddler, but her phone was off. Oh, this isn't good. In the end, I decided to take care of Elizabeth until Mom came back. She could decide what to do with the toddler after that. I spent the entire day taking care of Elizabeth. Yeah, that wasn't how I dreamed I'd spend my holidays. Still, Mom taught me to be kind and take care of those weaker than me. By the evening, I was exhausted and passed out on the couch, with Elizabeth playing next to me. A phone call woke me up. Could it be Mom? Before I could answer, Elizabeth grabbed my phone and threw it on the floor. It fell with a bang and stopped showing signs of life. A few days went by, but Mom was nowhere to be seen. I had a sinking feeling Betty had got her in trouble. It was time to act. I decided to go to the police. First, I needed to grab some of Mom's documents. I rummaged through her things. Instead of documents, I found an old photo. In it, my young mom and Betty were dressed like robbers and showing off jewelry in a suitcase. What the fudge? Were they criminals? I grabbed Elizabeth and we took the bus to the city. Once there, I came to a police station and asked an officer to find my mom. What's her name? Sunny Bunny. The cop gave me a suspicious look. Are you kidding me? That's a made-up name. I swore up and down that really was my mother's name. The cop squinted me in belief but ran her name through the system. See, there isn't anyone with a name like that in our database. He asked me where I lived and why I was taking care of a toddler by myself. To be honest, I panicked. What if Mom really did have a dark past and Betty convinced her to steal a diamond? I didn't want Mom to be arrested, so I tried to look innocent and told the officer it was all a prank. I just wanted to cheer you up. Well, have a nice day. Stop right there. I ran out of the station like a bat out of hell and hurried back to the bus stop before the cop could catch up to me. Elizabeth and I headed back home. Why did Mom use a fake name? I couldn't stop thinking about it. Things went from bad to worse after that. As soon as I came home, I felt that something was wrong. I tiptoed into the living room and saw a young man in it. The uninvited guest seemed pissed off and was clearly looking for something. Oh no, what if he was Mom's ex-partner in crime who was there to take what they'd stolen? When he saw me, he immediately ran towards us. Wait, don't leave! I clutched the baby to my chest and ran back outside. Luckily, I knew the nearby streets like the back of my hand and easily got away from him. As I walked down the street, I cried like a baby. I was in a world of trouble because of Mom's dark past. Strangers were snooping around our home. Calling the police wasn't an option, and The cherry on top, I also had to take care of an abandoned child. It was quickly getting dark and I didn't know where to go. All of a sudden, an expensive-looking car stopped next to me. Mr. and Mrs. Williams were sitting in it. That couple was filthy rich and influential. They lived nearby in a country mansion. Why are you wandering around so late? Is that a baby you're holding? Come with us and tell us what happened to you. At that moment, I thought my guardian angel must have sent them to me. Mr. and Mrs. Williams treasured their reputations and seemed like good people, so I got into their car. Psst, by the way, never do that. Some people only seem kind-hearted. Be careful. When we arrived at their mansion, I told them all about my misadventures. Trying to comfort me, they gave me milk and cookies. You poor thing. You're still a child yourself and shouldn't have to deal with such problems by yourself. She picked Elizabeth up and told me they had rich friends who had no kids and would be happy to adopt her. We'll introduce you in the morning. In the meantime, you and Elizabeth can spend the night in our daughter's room. Her name is Ashley. She, moved out recently. I agreed. What else could I do? Those two were right. I was just a kid myself. Adults would take better care of Elizabeth for sure. They found a cradle, I put Elizabeth in it, flopped down on the bed and passed out. Soon, I was woken up by a noise. I rubbed my eyes sleepily and saw the guy that had broken into my house. He was leaning over the cradle and trying to pick up Elizabeth. I realized it wasn't a dream and was about to scream bloody murder, but before I could do that, he politely asked me to be quiet. Please don't be scared. My name is Brian. I'm Elizabeth's father. I wish her no harm. He gently patted the baby's head and told me his story. Brian said he had been dating Ashley Williams and wanted to marry her. However, Ashley's rich parents forbade their daughter from marrying a poor guy like him. Ashley and I loved each other and weren't about to let her parents keep us apart. We ran away together. Soon we had Elizabeth. Ashley's parents were furious when they found out they had a granddaughter. It was humiliating for them to have a son-in-law like me. Brian sighed heavily and continued. He said that Ashley's parents wanted her to go back home and give Elizabeth away so that other rich people would not see them as a laughingstock. Ashley was afraid she would never see her daughter again. She left her on our porch, hoping that she would deal with her parents and come back for her. Except Mr. and Mrs. Williams didn't make up with Ashley. They took away her phone and hid her from me. I don't know where she is now. I couldn't let them take Elizabeth away, so I found her first. That's why I came to your house. I'm sorry I scared you back then. I'm not letting you off the hook just because you're sorry. Why would I believe anything you say anyway? Mr. and Mrs. Williams are good people. Don't you dare badmouth them. I loudly called the owners of the house. Brian bolted through the window with his tail tucked between his legs. Mr. and Mrs. Williams must have been sleeping soundly because they didn't hear me. I made sure Elizabeth was okay and passed out again. For some reason, I had a dream about the mirror on the wall calling me by name. It was creepy as hell. Before I could tell Mr. and Mrs. Williams about the intruder the next morning, they said their rich friends had already arrived and were ready to take away the baby. I'd grown very attached to that cutie, so I asked them for a few minutes to say goodbye to her. Okay, we'll be waiting for you downstairs. I'm sure they are good people and will take good care of you. Don't forget your big sis Susan, though. I picked Elizabeth up and was about to leave the room when the mirror on the wall rattled. Had it not been a dream? I carefully took the mirror off the wall and saw a hidden door behind it. Holy cow, why the heck was it there? I opened the door and saw a secret room and a young woman in it. Thank you for freeing me. I was shouting and banging on the door the whole night hoping you'd hear me. Wait, are you Ashley? Ashley Williams? She nodded and then ran up to Elizabeth and hugged her tenderly. Ashley wiped away tears of joy and said I could hardly hear her when she was in the secret room. But Ashley had heard my talk with Brian perfectly well. He wasn't lying to you. My parents locked me in here so he would not find me. They wanted to give our child away so another family would raise her. It made my blood boil. The nerve of them. I went downstairs and told them everything I thought of them. You bastards! I found Ashley and she told me the truth. I'm going to tell the police and the media everything if you don't promise to leave your daughter alone. I've had a very difficult week, so I wouldn't try my patience if I were you. Those haughty rich scumbags would have stopped at nothing to preserve their precious reputations and dreaded becoming the prey of gossips. They promised to leave Ashley alone. All right, we'll do it. Just keep your mouth shut, please. Soon, the young family was reunited. Ashley and Brian thanked me from the bottom of their hearts for taking care of their baby and left. I didn't stay long either and went back home. Of course, I was in a terrible mood. I still didn't know where my mom was or what had happened to her. To my surprise, when I got home, Betty was there. Finally, where have you been? Why didn't you answer your phone? It broke. Where's Mom? I know you've been trying to steal some sort of diamond. I shook the photo I found in front of her face. Betty looked at it and laughed good-naturedly. Oh, we took that at a costume party back in college. You didn't think we were actual criminals, did you? She told me that Mom had no dark past. It's just that they used to be the two most beautiful girls at school and bully other kids. Mom felt terrible whenever she looked back on it, so she decided to change and even came up with a cute new name for herself, Sunny Money. I heard you talking about some sort of diamond. It's the last name of our high school buddy. He fell ill and wanted to say goodbye to everyone. That's why your mom left so abruptly. But then she had a bad fall and ended up in a hospital. Don't worry, she's much better now. I haven't been able to reach you, so I came here to take you to her. A couple of hours after that, I was hugging Mom in a hospital ward. Luckily, she recovered soon after that. I'm sorry I left you at home alone. Susan, I know how responsible you are, so I wasn't worried. By the way, what have you been up to? Oh, it was a mess. I'll tell you all about it later. I'm glad Mom hadn't actually robbed any banks, and I'm really grateful she taught me to be kind. Elizabeth's parents adored her, so I wasn't worried. Soon Ashley came over with her family, and Elizabeth said her first word. Guess what it was? Shish! That's my story. If you love your mom too, be sure to like this video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.